What is up everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we will be reacting to Group B when rallying got too fast. Now, if you have been following this channel for a while, you will know that I absolutely love reacting to rally, and I've done a video on Group B recently that I enjoyed so much. Because before that I had no idea what Group B was, and everyone was like, you need to react to Group B, and then I looked into it and the video that I watched was absolutely insane. And one of you has recently requested that I react to this video, so we're going to get into it. But before we do that, make sure you subscribe. Over half of you that watch my videos are still not subscribed. Just hit the bell, it takes 2 seconds, and if you'd like to become a member on my channel and receive exclusive perks, you can also do that by hitting the join button down below. Right, let's get into it.
The Audi Quattro, Lancia 037 and the Peugeot 205 T16, some of the most iconic names in rallying.
Wow.
Cars that pushed the limits of what was possible in a way that we haven't
That
seen
speed
since.
is unreal.
It was called Group B and is still held as the golden era of rallying. However, it was only for the bravest of drivers. The hugely powerful cars needed a lot of manhandling to thread them through the tight, twisty stages, away from huge drops and dodging a sea of spectators.
Yeah, hats off to people who were
and what can we learn from the crazy cars
racing
that won
in rally
in the Group B era?
during Group B?
Rallying went wild in the 80s. The FIA wanted to attract
that is
more
mind-blowing.
manufacturers and so created a class that would give the designers pretty much free rein. No power limits, no regulations on boost, and whatever exotic materials you liked. Rally cars over the years have been largely based on road cars, with rules tightening and loosening on how close the relationship has to be between the stock car and the ones that actually race the stage. Names like Lancia, Porsche, Peugeot, Audi, Toyota, Ford, as well as so many more. Lancia took the drivers' championship.
God, like that show is just crazy.
Of Group B with the 037.
Get out the way.
It was the
What
last
are you
rear-wheel
doing?
drive car to win in the WRC. It was incredibly light, using fiberglass and Kevlar for the body, and was powered by a mid-mounted 250 horsepower engine. It has much larger wings than many cars of the time, with a huge rear spoiler to stabilise the car at high speeds. So in stepped Audi with the Quattro, one of the most innovative rally cars of all time, a true game changer. It had an inline-5 engine with a very clever turbocharging system that produced over 450 brake horsepower.
Wow.
It had a small valve that kept the turbo spooled even when off throttle, meaning there was very little turbo lag, making the car quick out of the tight turns. And yes, the Audi was very heavy, and the four-wheel drive system meant the weight was higher up than you would like in a rally car normally. But despite the compromised dynamics, it worked. The Audi had more power than the rest of the field, but could also use it more effectively, deploying more power even on surfaces like gravel, dirt and ice.
Oh my god.
Audi won its first race with the car and didn't really stop after that. They shaved seconds, if not minutes, off stage times. The Audi four-wheel drive system really changed the game in rallying.
Wow.
But the Audi dominance didn't last long. Peugeot came out with a car that would expose the weaknesses of the Quattro. They used a similar four-wheel drive system but packaged it very differently. Their secret was that they really nailed the car's dynamics. They built the car to look like the road-going 205, a small hatchback. It had a very short wheelbase, which generally makes cars more nimble at low speeds, with the trade-off of less stability at high speeds. However, rally stages are often so tight and twisty that this strategy paid off for Peugeot. But what was really unusual about the 205 was the orientation they mounted the engine in. Normally, race cars have longitudinal mounted engines with the crank parallel with the direction of the car. However, Peugeot fitted it in a transverse orientation, and instead of mounting the gearbox below the engine like in the Audi, Peugeot mounted it to the side. This meant that the majority of the weight in the car was between the two axles and could be mounted lower, making the car much more nimble and responsive in the corners. Low centre of gravity means the car doesn't roll too much, and if it's in the centre of the chassis, the car is easier to rotate in the corners. The 205's weight distribution wasn't 50-50 though, it placed around 60% of the weight on the rear wheels. In simple terms, rearward weight distribution promotes
Wow.
oversteer and frontward weight distribution creates more understeer. This rearward bias meant the car was easier to turn in and control through the turns. You can really see this if you watch the Audi through the corners. The Audi was very front heavy and produced a lot of understeer.
Yeah.
The drivers are trying to neutralise this with the throttle, but they have to correct the car several times through the corner. The Quattro understeers, then oversteers, then understeers again through a turn. The drivers really have to
good, is
wrestle
it?
through the corner. The Quattro was by no means an easy car to drive. Now look at the Peugeot. There is one smooth input on the steering and the car looks much more balanced and easy to drive. There is no wonder it was quicker. It's incredible to watch as these drivers control the car when at crazy speeds
Drifting
on tight
is
and
insane.
twisty rally stages. Also not forgetting they are threading the car through a sea of spectators on the stage.
I will never
But
get
why
into
are
that
the
shot.
fans allowed to be so close to the cars?
Yeah, why?
The stages are public roads, meaning anyone could go and spectate. However, it meant that many got extremely close to the cars. Back then, people did get hit, but it was considered to be part of the challenge for the drivers.
Ooh.
They often kept it pinned and had to hope that the fans would get out the way in time. This guy even had to jump over a passing car. Many manufacturers understood that Peugeot's approach was the way to go, all producing smaller, short wheelbase cars with all the weight in the middle. However, it was Lancia that did it the best. They finally scrapped rear-wheel drive after being uncompetitive all year. So they created the Lancia Delta S4, a short wheelbase four-wheel drive monster. Firstly, they developed an engine with a genius twin charging system. They fitted a supercharger to avoid the lag of a turbo, a bit like the Lancia 037. However, this created less power at high revs. As a supercharger is directly driven by the engine, it can provide boost at low revs, but saps more and more power as the revs climb. So what Lancia did was fit an additional turbocharger that would provide boost at high revs. So low-end boost was provided by the supercharger before cutting out and letting the turbo take over at higher revs.
I mean, it's very clever.
This meant the Delta S4 was amazingly powerful and had the grip to put it down onto the stage. It took many wins before eventually bringing the Group B era to a close. This era of rallying was amazing to watch. Incredibly fast cars and amazing drivers all pushing to the limits of what's possible. There were different winners every year and cars that looked remarkably different with incredible engineering. However, you can't ignore the fact that it was extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
The cars were too powerful, difficult to drive, and not enough emphasis was put on the safety of drivers and spectators.
That on board was
The biggest
insane.
issue was the minimum weight rule. Cars could weigh as little as 890 kilograms. This created a breed of cars that were very fragile and not up to the job of protecting drivers in a crash.
Yeah.
Many of the drivers explained that if this weight limit was higher, more strengthening could have been added to better protect the drivers.
Oh
in a
my
crash.
God, cars are
Several
wrecked.
huge crashes happened. In Portugal, Santos crested a rise in his Ford RS200. He lost control and went off the course, horrifically injuring 31 spectators and killing 3. All the teams immediately pulled out of the rally and it left Group B hanging on by a thread. A few months later, the final blow came. Lancia's Henri Toivonen was the championship favourite when he lost control late in a fast turn. He was winning by a huge margin when he and his co-driver Sergio Cresto came flying off the road, heading down a steep hill. The impact ruptured the fuel tank, spilling fuel over the red-hot turbocharger, sending the car up in flames. After the incident, it was barely recognisable as a car, and both Henry and Sergio were killed in the crash. This led to many manufacturers pulling out, and the FIA ended the Group B class the following year.
That is awful.
A few moments later.
I mean, yeah, that was crazy. The more and more I learn about Group B, is just the more and more it like blows my mind. I mean, I absolutely love reacting to rally and like WRC and everything. So yeah, I did very much enjoy that video. So with that being said, if you have any other videos that you'd like me to react to, drop them in the comments. I'm working my way through everybody's suggestions at the moment. If you did want to check out any of my other socials, they are all linked down below. And if you want to become a member on this channel and receive exclusive perks, you can also do that by hitting the join button down below. But I hope you enjoyed today's reaction, and I will catch you next time for the next one. Bye!